So have we solved the conveyor issue? Stay tuned to find out. Hello again, friends. Welcome to another edition of Beavertown Outdoors. I'm John. I'm out here at the beautiful Beavertown compound, out in the wood yard, and behind me is the Range Road EcoPro 300 that viewers of my channel are very familiar with. And if you've been watching for quite a while, and some of you may know, these processors come with a belt conveyor, and the belt was starting to tear. And I've always seen some of the other processors that had a chain conveyor, had a conveyor with like this, a chain with the metal paddles. Those seem to work better. And reached out, talking to Range Road, and they have a chain conversion kit for these. And I've done a previous video on how I installed this. Wasn't too bad. It was pretty simple if you have some mechanical knowledge to install it. But over the time I've been running it this season, since I put it on, noticed an issue. It was hard not to notice. I was actually having an issue where logs were jamming into different spots on the conveyor, up at the top and down at the bottom, which you can't see. As it was processing logs, the finished chunks would actually sometimes just by happenstance drop down, get wedged between the body of the conveyor and the paddle, and basically there's so much hydraulic force that it didn't stop the conveyor. It actually would push with enough force until something gave, which that something was always these paddles. I think in total I broke 3 or 4 of them, and I've welded them back on as they broke off. The last one though sheared off to a point where there was not enough left here for me to weld it back on. And I did talk to Range Road, and I'm going to get a replacement link that I can weld that back together and get a new paddle on, get the paddle that's broken off back on there. But that gets annoying, to say the least, to keep having to repair something. Aside from that, this has worked fantastically. It's not super noisy. It is a little noisier than it was with the belt. But what the nice thing is some of the heavier logs would make the belt slip, which can be kind of a safety, prevents things from breaking if when things getting jammed up. But this does, basically if the log falls on it, it's going to carry it away, as long as it doesn't break the conveyor. So I've been trying to figure out a solution for that, and this year at the Paul Bunyan, as you've seen, I met with some folks from Range Road, and they'd actually seen my video as well about that the conveyor was jamming up. So they had a solution, being that they were using a chain conveyor on the Compro 650. They didn't want to have that issue right out the gate, so they came up with a solution of putting a couple covers over those gaps, and I basically copied that same thing here. So thank you to the folks at Range Road for coming up with a solution. Kind of had a similar solution in my head. Don't know if it would have been as good, but it was similar. Okay, so here we're looking, there's the split chamber, and then here's the conveyor. And the gap that I was talking about is down here. So as you can see, there's quite a gap from where the paddle comes up to the bottom of the conveyor. And I don't know if you can see here, but I was actually getting to where you can see where it indented as it hit. And basically to solve that problem, you just need a solution to carry the wood as it splits from here. Let the force of the splitter push it farther out, and it'll keep sliding along, right? It'll, you know, they make these without a conveyor and it just dumps off, right? Just like you do with the catch pan on your splitter if you have a push through. So it'll keep going. But what they came up with is to use some of this thick rubber mat, and you could buy this mat by the roll. It's not cheap. You know, it's about $50 a roll, but you can get it at Tractor Supply, Farm and Home, Fleet Farm, all those good places. Yeah, any of the farm stores pretty much have it. But took a chunk of this, or I guess you could use a mud flap too for like a semi. But basically, what it did, same thing they did, is I took a piece of metal, and I just used that angle iron that's got the holes in it. Forgive me, I don't know the exact term for it, but basically bolted that on. There are already 3 holes. I didn't have to drill anything because there's already holes in the back side of the conveyor, like they always intended something to be there. And I just bolted that through, and then used a couple of carriage bolts, 3 of them to be exact. Just punched a couple of holes, put it down into here, tightened it up, and then we got this rubber flap. So that should cover up that gap. The other gap we had is up here. Again, you can see how this, hope you can see it, there's a gap here from the body of the conveyor to where the paddle actually comes up and around. There's quite a space there. And you'd get a couple of times you got a log that would just nosedive in as it just tilted over, and it was small enough to catch in there and then catch the paddle and just break it right off. So for that one, did a similar thing. Again, this same rubber, I cut it, and then I'm going to lift you up and over. And if you can see, it's just screwed on. Use a couple of pole barn screws and just put it on the conveyor here, and then I split it so it'll go over the pulley. And now, when this paddle comes up, the wood comes up, there's no way for this to get down into these 2 gaps. So this should let it just come right over the top and drop. And kind of the reason to use rubber, now that's, you got rubber on metal, eventually they're going to wear out. But it's a pretty thick, heavy rubber. It's made for a mat to stand on and walk on and do things to get dropped on it. So it'll take some abuse, but obviously it's eventually going to wear out. But I've got a whole big roll of it. I can just unbolt these, use it, cut another piece as it wears out, throw it on there, and with just the small roll of rubber I have, that should last probably as many years. I don't know how many we'll see as we run it. Obviously we're going to run it here and see how it's going to work and see how much wear it actually takes. And hopefully it's not a whole lot, and it'll last a long time. So to test this out, I've got a few logs. They're just small ones, because that seemed to be when I was getting the most of it, is when I was splitting small stuff. So I loaded up the live deck. These are a couple of small scrub trees that I cut down. Like you can see, I probably need to trim this up a little bit, but figure I'll run these through. These are nice and small. We'll get the Range Road fired up, and we'll run them through and see how they feed. right, so that worked out good. As you guys seen, didn't get any jams, didn't break any paddles off. No more big thunk, clunk, and falling paddle. Notice that it does take, wood can kind of back up for a little bit before it gets going. I might have cut it a little long, but at least, I still having no trouble feeding. At the end, I just go over and push a bunch in and push it up. And, the other nice thing is I guess it kind of guards you from a pinch point there too, if you're, handling the lugs at all when they're down at the, they come out of the split chamber. So, but yeah, so didn't seem to have any problems feeding. Didn't slow the conveyor down. There's a little bit of wear up here at the edge, but that's because, again, I cut the sheet of rubber just a little long on that one too. So, but I think that's going to solve the issue. I'm going to run for a bit more and see how it does. But not going to keep you guys here with that. So, again, this is an easy solution. If you, as always, check out Range Road if you're looking for a processor that's affordable to get you started, get you into speeding up your operation, whether it's for your own use or your family's use, or if it's to start a business like I did. Check them out. They're good. They have everything from the EcoPro 200, which is even cheaper than this, a few less features, all the way up to the new ConPro 650. And check out some of my other videos from Paul Bunyan and other times when I've talked to Range Road and showed some of their products. But check them out. And if you do have an EcoPro 300, or I think a 350, it fits as well, consider the chain conveyor. It's a good investment, but if you do that, just know that you'll keep from breaking it. You're going to need to do a little bit of modifications. But if you have some basic mechanical aptitude, a little bit of equipment, you can make this, possibly, I would think maybe Range Road's going to eventually produce these, fine-tune them, and produce them, sell either separate or, I'd kind of recommend they sell them with the chain conveyor conversion just to alleviate any problems out of the gate. So, anyway, folks, that's going to do it for me today, guys. If you like what you saw, please hit the like and subscribe button. And as always, feel free to share. But until next time, from all of us here at the beautiful Beavertown compound of Beavertown Outdoors, take care of each other, be good, stay safe, and I'm out.